Did you ever think that you'd like to go back in time? Back in time to a simpler place, a place of beauty, a place where you were swept up into a tropical feeling, a place far away, in this case, Brazil. Although I was around at the time these three records I'm going to show you came out, I was too young to appreciate them, of course. We're talking about 62, 63, and 64. So I was a baby, but I remember some of these records being in my parents' record collection and my friends' parents' record collections. It started with this record by Stan Getz, who was joined by Charlie Bird. It's called Jazz Samba. And this record took America by surprise, and it introduced them to the pleasures of the sound of the bossa nova. This was an excellent record. It was issued in the Acoustic Sounds Verve Jazz series. I have a review of it. You can take a look at that. It's actually a comparison. And I've always loved this record. He followed it up the next year in 63 with Jazz Samba Encore. This time, it's a collaboration with Luiz Bonfá, who is a guitarist and also the composer of most of the tunes on this album. After that, we got the most famous of this trilogy, and that would be Getz Gilberto. Very famous and for good reason. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. I did an extensive review of this when the One Step came out. This is the Acoustic Sounds Verve Jazz Series edition. And it's excellent too. Now we have this. This, in some ways, is the most overlooked of the three. The other two are more famous. But this one, in my mind, has a freshness about it that I really like. It seems like Stan Getz was more relaxed at this point. Jazz Samba flows nicely, but in some ways it feels like they were testing the waters, trying new things. Here, it's completely relaxed and natural sounding, and I really like that about this. Where Getz Gilberto had a vocalist and Jazz Samba did not, this also has a vocalist, but it's not Astrid Gilberto. In this case, it's Maria Toledo. And I think that she adds something really special to this record. The way that they recorded her, and she's not all over the record. She's used to sing a couple of the songs completely and as color and texture in the rest of the record. There are points where the music will be going and you'll hear this lovely floating wordless voice, female voice, in a kind of ghostly, ethereal way in the background. And that's just the way this was done. When she steps to the fore, of course, it's wonderful. She does a couple of songs and they're great. Her delivery is different than Astrid would do a year later. Astrid was a bit more reserved, a little tentative, and soft and beautiful. She has a quality that really is amazing and made the girl from Ipanema famous. Maria Toledo is a little bit more direct and forward, but the way that they recorded her is, well, oftentimes she's kind of pushed to the side of the soundstage. So she seems to be in a different environment, almost like an isolation booth, perhaps. And they've added a lot of reverb to her voice. So it's kind of like ethereal in some points, especially those wordless areas where she's kind of floating over the music. And what music? These compositions by Bonfá are wonderful. And you will hear excellent guitar work, wonderful bass lines, of course, beautiful percussion throughout. and Stan Getz' breathy saxophone. Everything flows really well on here. I have two versions of this. The version I've lived with for years has been this. It is a Japanese pressing. I no longer have the obi, but I remember getting this. And now that I think back on this, it was like 1981. I was in Boston. I picked it up at the Harvard Coop, and I wasn't into jazz at all at that point. The reason I bought this was because I love the cover. I love the painting. I love the typography. I love everything about it. And I said, well, this has got to be a great sounding record or a very interesting record. And I was attracted to the idea of maybe a Brazilian kind of feel to a record. And I bought it, and I did love it. And I've listened to it many times over the years. The Japanese pressing, like many Japanese pressings, is a precisely made product. Precision, clarity, sometimes leaning a little bright, especially on vocals and on Stan Getz' peaks on his saxophone. Cymbals can sound a little bit artificial, a little metallic sounding, and are lacking, the whole thing is kind of lacking warmth. It's almost as if the bass was cut at a certain point and there's nothing below there. Still, it's a great representation of the music, but it seems to be tailored for more up here than a full range. And that brightness always bothered me a little bit. A couple of peaks here and there that I was like, it feels a little tense. Not so here. This is the new reissue from the Acoustic Sounds Verve Jazz series. This is mastered by Matthew Lutthans at the Mastering Lab. So it's done on tube equipment. And the difference is staggering, actually. Where the other version, the Japanese version, comes off as very analytical, precise, super quiet, of course. This breathes with warmth and life. It's beautiful. Everything improves on this record. The surfaces are just as quiet as the Japanese, so that's pretty good in itself. That's quite a high bar to top, or equal. The guitar sounds wonderful on this. You hear the detail in the picking of the guitar, in the strumming of the guitar, but you feel the woody resonance of the body of the guitar. So it has much more body. Getz sounds better here too. You really feel the dimension of the instrument. You feel the breath going through the instrument clearly. The vocals too, where the vocals sound a little strange on the Japanese pressing. It's so precise that you feel that she's in a different acoustic space. And there's all this reverb added to her voice to give it a kind of ethereal, ghostly quality, which works in some sections, but it's a little disembodied, I would say. The Acoustic Sounds version somehow has gotten this to blend in a little bit better, and it feels more integrated and more purposeful. The whole flow of the record musically feels more alive, more intimate, and has a magic about it that's kind of missing from the Japanese pressing. It was a beautiful listen. I mean, immediately I was like, this is going into the sale pile because this is much preferred over the Japanese pressing. The jackets are interesting. This is one area where I might prefer the Japanese. The jacket, the artwork on the jacket, and this artwork is by Olga Abizu. She did the artwork on both of the other records I showed you as well. So they form sort of a trilogy in design. Here you see all the intricacies of the, I guess it's a palette type of brush stroke, very clearly. Here it's softer, a little more diffuse. Color's not quite as deep, and the range of blues is not quite as evident. Still, It's beautiful in its own right because it's in a gorgeous Stout gatefold, and it looks wonderful. It really does look great. Of course, I'm in love with these things. So I'm maybe a little biased, but I love these because they feel like it's going to be your final copy. And once I heard this, I knew it was going to be my final copy. This sounds great. I think it's head over, how do you say, head over shoulders? Better than the Japanese pressing. As precise and clinical as it is, this is warm, lush, and beautiful. And that's exactly what you want with a Brazilian bossa nova record. You want it to sound relaxing. You want to relax into this music and not have it call attention to itself. And that's exactly what I got with this. This is very well done, very well produced, an unusual choice, a not so obvious choice, but one I think that's essential in continuing this series. To get this record back in print as part of that trilogy is important. And now we have an edition that, probably will be the best that anyone has ever heard. Let me know what you think about Jazz Samba Encore. Have you heard it? I'd love to know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for The Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.